Open fork policies are a simple yet powerful way to sponsor blockchain transactions. In this demo, I'll show you two main things. One, how you can use policies to pay the gas on behalf of the user. And two, how to charge the user for gas in ERC20 tokens. Let's dive in. Starting from the OpenFort dashboard, the first thing that you want to do is add a contract that you will sponsor transactions for. In this case, I'm adding a simple NFT contract, ERC721, deployed in the Fuji Avalanche testnet. As you can see here now, I'm simply adding the NFT contract that has already been verified. So the ABI is directly imported into OpenFort. The next thing that I want to do is create a gas policy. So to create a gas policy, I simply get into the policies tab and press on new policy. I give it a new name and select the chain that I want to sponsor the transaction in. Then I specify the contract and which functions do I want to sponsor. And I simply create the policy. And that's all done. The next thing that I want to do, as I mentioned in the intro, is that we want to sponsor to allow for the user to pay in the ERC20 tokens. For this, you will use the link tokens from Chainlink. As you can see here, Chainlink has a faucet that will basically airdrop us link tokens into our smart wallet. So simply what I'm doing now is adding this currency, this ERC20 link tokens into my OpenFort dashboard. Of course, specifying the Fuji testnet, simply adding it now. So as soon as it's added, I simply have to create a gas policy. So I'll head back into gas policies and press on add policy. So here in add policy, I will simply specify that this is a token sponsor. In this specific situation, I want to allow the user to pay for the specific amount of gas that they spent in ERC20 tokens converted to the native token. So I specify an exchange rate that in this case will be of 10. So let's say if the native token spends one native token, the user will pay 10 link. Next off, we'll create another policy. So this other policy, what we'll basically do is charge a fixed amount of ERC20 tokens. You can think of it as basically the fee that you'd pay in a credit card transaction, basically. So I basically charge for a fixed amount of ERC20 link tokens per each transaction. In this case, I will specify to only pay for one. To pay that the user will pay one link token per transaction. Just bear in mind that this is in way, so you need to provide it with the number of way that the user will pay per transaction. So I simply go and press save, and here we go. So now we're basically all set. We have gas policies that we'll use to sponsor transactions. We have the contracts, so the simple NFT and the link token, and we simply have to create a player. So here I will create a demo player, and then as soon as I have that, I can simply take the player ID and use it in my integration. So now we'll head back into a simple API that I've created in .NET here. So in this simple API, what we'll be doing is from the client side of the application, I've created this dictionary, and from the client side, we'll specify what item I am purchasing, so buying for the NFT, and then based on that, I will basically specify what policy I'll be using. So basically, for the item number one, I will sponsor completely the transaction. For item number two, the user will be paying in the exchange rate in ERC20 tokens, and for item number three, the user will be paying a fixed amount of tokens. Here, I'm simply populating this dictionary that will check on the transaction on the request that is being sent from the client into our server. I'm here finishing to add these policies. Awesome. And this is the method that I'll be using. So basically, as you know, this is basically a simple transaction intent where I take the mint function, so minting the NFT with the transaction request. Now we have here the client side of the application is a very simple, marketplace inside of the game. So now I'm just pressed on purchase with a number of coins, and now it's using the first of the policies. So here on the first of the policies, you will see the transaction is already being minted. Of course, it was a completely new smart wallet, so there was no native tokens in it, but we are completely sponsoring the transaction for it. So that's why the user didn't need to pay anything for it. You can see here it's completed already. So we simply have to press on the Unity here to make it refresh. Here we go, and you can see it has been minted. So the next thing that we can do here now is basically we have to get a native token. We have to get link tokens into our smart wallet. So to do that, we have to copy the address of our smart wallet, and then we can go into the faucet of Chainlink and basically request test tokens from them. So and from there, we'll basically have test tokens from Link in our basically smart wallet. So here are our test tokens. And so if we go again and refresh on the client side of the application, and let's go, you can see here that the test tokens. And if I go back into the shop, this is basically the application on the client side. And I can simply check now on the item number two. So this will be the one that we will be purchasing with, on the exchange rate. So I go here and I press on Evolo, which is the second transaction. So now the native token will be converted into ERC20 tokens, and that's what the user will be paying for. I will show you now this in a second. So you can see now the transaction is being processed. So if I go now on the left hand of the left side on my dashboard and I refresh, you can see here is a transaction. Of course, on the dashboard, you can see like all the different information. You can go into the gas policy that we just used, the dynamic token sponsor. And so this is the previous one. And if we go here into the dynamic token sponsor, you can see this is the transaction that we just used, that we just did. So if now we go into the transaction hash, this is a transaction hash of the transaction that we just did. You can basically see the amount of ERC20 tokens that we transferred. So the user paid this amount of ERC20 tokens, and of course we minted the NFT as we wanted. So that's all successful. So we only have one last use case to explore here, but of course we are missing some coins. So we just gather some coins here. Awesome. Now we have the coins. We can go back to the into the marketplace. And so here we'll press on the third one. This one is the fixed amount of tokens. So for this fixed amount of tokens, we're basically paying one link ERC20 token to pay for the transaction. So you can see here the transaction is loading, and as soon as it is, we'll refresh our dashboard here, and we'll be able to see that the user paid for the transaction in these ERC20 tokens. Of course, you can find all the information on the transaction intent in the specific transaction intent page. You can explore the specific sponsor here, and you can see here the total gas cost as well as the transaction hash. So you can see here that the user paid one link token for the transaction, and it simply minted the NFT. So you can see here we have the three transactions that we did. Here we have our player with the three transactions that we did as well. And then we can see the remaining link token. Of course, it's equivalent to the usage that we did with it to pay for the gas. In our gas policies, we can explore the three different gas policies that we did. Here you can always explore the different costs of the transaction. OpenFort also has a policy rule model that allow you to give limits to how much gas are you willing to sponsor. So you can, for instance, set, I want only to sponsor one transaction, let's say per day. And then if I specify per day, this policy can only be used to sponsor one transaction per day. It's more powerful than that. You can really specify, I want to sponsor only this amount of gas per day. I want to specify, uh, I want to only sponsor, this amount of transactions per day, etc. So that's really quite powerful and allows you to give like all this different granularity in the things that you're actually sponsoring. So yeah, that's basically all I wanted to show you in this introductory video for policies. You can of course find all the necessary information in our documentation at open4.xyz/docs. But feel free to reach out if you have any other questions. And thanks a lot for your time. Cheers.